Hi, I'm back again. Just on the topic of God, I've just found a poem that I wrote that's kind of relevant to the last video I just made about the God stuff, as I've called it. It's a poem I wrote 2014, God Ain't Cool, and it's a rap poem, which is really hilarious because I can't rap, as you're about to find out. But it's the way it came out after... Yes, a few things that happened where if I mentioned God, I had some strange reactions. So this is my rap poem about God. Apologies to all those professional rappers out there. Maybe I should just get my son's cap and put it on backwards, and that would make it more authentic. Or maybe not. That might make it worse. Right, here goes. My attempt at rapping. I said the word God, now that ain't cool. I mentioned God and it's against the rules. I mentioned God and it triggered the room. I spoke of God, oh it was way too soon. Oh boy, the G word don't go down so well. Mentioned God and they run back to hell. When I speak of God, freeze faces, crawling skin. If I mention God, it's a major sin. If I talk of God, you want to shut me up. If I speak of God, you really had enough. When I mention G, you want to run a mile. When I slip in God, you seem to lose that smile. When I mention God, it really freaks you out. When I talk of God, some scream and shout. When I speak of God, it causes great pain. When I mention G, you think I'm quite insane. When I spoke of God, you said that ain't cool. When I mentioned God, it's against the rules. And when I speak of God, there's no religion there. When I talk of God, I only share that our parent God, it's my new find. When I talk of God, I don't want to hide. When I mention G, what's in my heart? When I speak of God, don't presume, don't start. When I mention God, I'm just telling my truth. When I talk of G, please don't hit the roof. When I mention God, hold on for a mo. When I speak of God, you don't have to go. When I mention G, it brings up anger and shame. When I talk of God, I used to be the same. When I heard the name, I would recoil, retreat. When I thought of God, I would stamp my feet. When I heard his name, it didn't feel right. When I read God, I put up a fight. To the God I thought was full of judgment, hate, I was taught this God, like all, took the bait. The G I thought I knew was false beliefs and lies. Now I feel God is a different guy. Now with God I question, look for truth. I speak with God and she's not aloof. Now it's G and me, it's much more real. Try to let God in, go with what I feel. So with God I talk and find love true, not God from religion, the one I thought I knew. So I mention God in a personal way. I talk of God, not hide away. So I mention God because it's rather incredible. When I speak of God, it's like chocolate, edible. So when I talk of God, don't just shut the doors. When I mention G, maybe just explore. So when you hear the G, don't blame the name. When you hear of God, forget the one of fame. When I mention God, don't go in for the kill. I talk of God with my own free will. Because I've found a God that I rather like. I talk of this God, just my thing, right? I mention God, you mention husband or wife. I talk of God like you talk of life. So I slipped in God in this poetry. Mention God, triggered you with irony. As I slip in God for the last time today, I'm off to chat with G, I'm off to pray. Pray to God, so I ain't cool. Well, I'll talk to God and I'll break the rules. So I talk of God, it ain't so bad. In fact, speak of God, in a way, it's rad.